Regret is the worst thing we could experience. You know, to stay where you are and look at life through a window.
Step by step, walk your journey of 1,000 miles. As people doubt you, walk your journey of 1,000 miles. As you doubt yourself, focus on what's important. It's not truth. It's the narrative that you're placing on yourself. It's not truth. Look at the intelligence. Look at the data. Look at your discipline.
Although, you know, we're biologically conditioned for that safety, ultimately, you know, it's not going to get us where we want to be.
You have a choice. You can be upset and miserable, or you can be happy and push forward. It's a choice, and you have it.
We become what we think about. It becomes our outside reality.
Choose to go forward.
Our thoughts are so powerful. It's the thoughts that create our reality.
Don't let everybody else tell you you can't. The only person who knows if you can or you can't is yourself.
And really for me, I don't care the kind of day I have, I'll always win, as long as I've given myself something first.
There is always an option in everything you're going through. Every dark moment you're in, when you think everything's, it's not. There's a way out. It ain't gonna be easy. It's never gonna be easy. As soon as you accept that, you'll go for it and you'll get out of it.
The idea is there's always a light switch. You're not gonna feel incredible the next day, but you have to teach yourself to step back, take a breath, and say somewhere in this mess, there's a little piece of value. Where?
Because I think it's very dangerous if you stay static for too long and the negative thoughts start coming in. You've always got to have something positive to move towards and strive towards, to occupy your headspace. 80, 90, 95% of it has got to be positive and driving forward towards something that you want to achieve.
But when you go through something, the person's natural perspective is, okay, what did I lose, right? What happened to me? Like, I took a loss, right?
I think we fall into the trap of thinking life is, you know, a very serious checklist, don't want to make mistakes, as opposed to just an infinite pool of opportunity if we just allow ourselves to step into it.
People never look at it and say, okay, man, tell me, what did you gain, right? Even though I know it hurt, you didn't want to go through it, but look at it in a way to where you can say, what's the lesson in this, right? What would you say life is trying to teach you from dealing with this?
Because no one else knows what's inside your head, no one. You have got to say to yourself, I cannot sit in this pity party. Blame somebody else is going to drag me forward to do it. People will try, but you still have to make that move. You still have to go forward and go, I want to get through this now, I'm going to go.
Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing to help other people?
So you can't escape it. Whether you're trying to think there's the quick route or the easy or hard, no matter what you call it, there's only evil and good path. Whatever you decide to do, you're still going to require discipline, sacrifice, planning. All those things are still required. So if you're going to do it, decide if you're going to do it for bad or decide if you're going to do it for good.
Right? Like, you can be great, but you're living on reserve. Right? You didn't empty the bucket, right? You didn't give everything you had to every aspect of your life. Okay, well, when do you turn it back? Right? You find pockets to turn it back. Right? Of course, you don't just give everything you got all the time, right? You get to a point to where you learn to be efficient and effective in every aspect of your life. And for most people, it's not a problem of skill set. It's a problem of character.
Today's video was made possible at mulliganbrothers.com, where you can now get the Memento Mori poster, a poster to remind you that you're going to die. It's 80 years of tiny little squares that you shade in, and one day you won't shade in another box. And if that doesn't get you motivated, I don't know what will. Use code STOIC at checkout with the link in the description at mulliganbrothers.com for 10% off.